Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Elder Trolls Gaming Podcast. We are three brothers who get together and talk about gaming, and we love tech, and we love movies, and we love TV, and we talk about that stuff too. And this week, we are on episode 20, a milestone. We've made it to episode 20, and
Nice.
it is it's a special one this week because we're going to be talking about Cyberpunk 2077.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to try for minimum spoilers, so hopefully you have nothing to worry about. We'll mention it if we do, but you know what? We want people to play it because we feel it's been getting a bad rap, you know? But
Yep.
anyway,
Yeah.
First off, how are you guys doing?
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Got my morning coffee here, ready to go, ready to talk about something we all love.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm very excited.
I wish I was a little more spry today, but I had to wake up at 5 a.m. to take a piss, and then I went to go back to sleep, and then I started, coughing. I got long
that
COVID.
I got that too. Yep.
So I had to take some Reactin or something. It's something to stop the post-nasal drip and then fall asleep again. It's fucking ridiculous. It's so annoying.
Just the coughing, like you lie down, you're like,
Yeah, it's
That's
just because you
why-
have it's like phlegm and it just drips down into your lungs and I'm just like.
That's why I no longer go to sleep without a bottle of water next to
Oh,
me.
you don't sleep anymore? It's like I no longer sleep.
I no longer
I don't
asleep.
need to.
He's just like
I've devised a way to energize elsewhere.
Energy vampire. Colin Robinson.
man, the latest
Oh, I
episode.
forgot. I've got to start watching that again. I keep
fuck.
forgetting.
The latest season is
That's
fantastic.
ridiculous.
So good.
If no one knows, it's What We Do in the Shadows. Hilarious movie and
Yes.
and a TV show derived from the movie. It's by Taika Waititi and
Yeah.
Jamon Clément. What's his name?
Jamon.
What,
his
the
name?
Concourse? What is it called? The Flying Concourse? What
Flight of the Conchords.
Flight of the Concords.
Yes, it's
I'm
by
not
those
really
two
familiar with
guys. Very funny, very dry, hilarious
Yeah, it's very
humor, but the show is very funny. I suggest checking it out.
All right. So let's jump into our main topic here, guys. Cyberpunk 2077. It's been getting a bad rap ever since the beginning.
Day
Okay?
one.
Day one. We've all played it, we've all put plenty of time in it, and we've decided to come out and talk about Cyberpunk 2077.
We felt that there's not really a better time, right? The anime
Yeah.
just came out, a lot of people I feel like are going to be picking up the game because of the anime or vice
patch.
versa, watching the anime. The new patch 1.6 just came out, so why not talk about it now for our 20th episode?
Let's dive in. I've got quite a bit of stuff to go through here. I'm going to bring it back. We're going to bring it back to when it was first rumblings of this game started popping out.
Well, why don't we tell people what it is?
Yeah, okay. Well, this is funny. I had it in the notes because I kind of wanted to bring this up. Cyberpunk 2077 is an open-world action-adventure story set in Night City, a megalopolis obsessed with power, glamour, and body modifications. You play as V, a mercenary outlaw going after a one-of-a-kind implant that is key to immortality. Key to immortality.
Most of that is true.
Most
I
of
would
it is
agree
true,
with it.
but it just seems so wrong.
The mercenary outlaw, yes, going after a one-of-a-kind implant that is the key to immortality. No, that's
We didn't go
not
after it.
really what happened.
Yeah.
It's not entirely accurate. I don't know why they would make that the
Going
synopsis,
after-
the official
after.
synopsis.
Yeah. So that was
It's
the
hard to
official
talk
one.
about. It's hard to talk about without talking about the actual plot events of the story,
So here's the synopsis written by fans of Cyberpunk 2077 on the Wikipedia.
Okay.
Okay. The story takes place in Night City, an open world set in the cyberpunk universe. Players assume the first-person perspective of a mercenary known as V, who can acquire skills in hacking and machinery with options for melee and ranged combat. The story follows V as he, she, or they struggle and deal with a mysterious cybernetic implant that threatens to overwrite their body with the personality and memories of a deceased celebrity only perceived by V. The two must work together if there is any hope to separate the two and save V's life. Right. I think that last part is
interesting.
That's what the game is about. I mean,
yeah,
it's more accurate, but the implant threatens to overwrite his mind, not his body, I guess.
Yes.
It's a weird way to word it, but
yeah. But like
that's
end
what
part,
the game is about.
Yeah, the end part is the two must work together to help save V's life, right? But what happens?
I wouldn't. First of all, just coming to mind now, I wouldn't have used the word celebrity. He was an activist, which makes I feel like if you use the word activist, that whole sentence becomes
musician.
more impactful.
Why couldn't they just say musician?
He was a fucking rocker boy. He was a rocker boy, but we're going to talk about that later. Cool. So I agree with the first synopsis fully because
really?
The official.
Yes, because it's short and it's sweet. They probably did that for a reason because it's 2022 and no one wants to read a fucking paragraph about what the game's about, okay? So that's number one. And every word of it is true because you do go after a one-of-a-kind implant. It's not for your own benefit, but you are sent after it.
Oh, that's correct.
By Dexter. That's the job.
Yeah. You go after
True at the beginning, yeah. Okay, I guess so.
So you are going after it. It just doesn't say that it's for you or for somebody else or whatever, right?
But this makes you think that it's like you're going after it. Like you know that it exists and you're going to get it to become immortal. That's what I got out of the official synopsis, which is completely and utterly wrong.
Wow. I think that's technicality.
When they paint a picture like this and they go to jump in the game, I think it starts a little bit off the wrong path here.
I never even read the fucking synopsis. I just started playing the game.
Oh, I did.
So if that means anything to you, just play the game. I actually like surprises. Whenever I'm playing, I'm like, oh shit, okay, that's where this is going.
Yeah,
I
mean, same. I had no idea what the game was actually about. I knew that Keanu Reeves was going to be in it, and he was going to be
it's the same. I was just like
the main characters, and I was like, all right, let's do this. And it's going to be Cyberpunk, which I love, so fuck it, I'll play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and it's by the guys who did Witcher. So, and now we'll let Dandolph explain some of the lore from the Cyberpunk universe.
Cyberpunk is its own universe created by a fella named Mike Pondsmith. Okay, so as you guys may or may not know, Cyberpunk was a tabletop role-playing game called Cyberpunk.
I did know that. Yes.
2013 as first generation, and then Cyberpunk 2020 as second generation, I believe. So also known as Cyberpunk Red because they changed the name, the look of it. They had like a nice, cool rebrand look on it. So this universe was created early 90s, 88 or something like that. So this universe has been around for a long time. Johnny Silverhand's been around since the beginning of Cyberpunk universe that Mike Pondsmith created. Carrie Eurodyne was mentioned as well. I was reading a bit of the PDF of one of the core books of Cyberpunk 2020. I'm assuming that's kind of like the lore book that you read all of your information for when you're playing the tabletop game. And they talk about all the roles, they talk about all the classes and, you know, the environments and what Night City is and all this stuff, right? The culture, they talk about everything. It's been around for a long time, okay? There's a massive universe, and I just wanted to talk about like 5 little things here. I wanted to talk about Richard Alex Knight, okay, the founder of Night City. Just a few points. Roque Bartmas and the Fall of the Net.
Raish.
Was it Raish?
Raish. That's what they say. That's what they say in the game. Raish.
Oh, okay. Because I thought it's a German name. But anyway,
no, it's German for revenge. It's German for revenge.
Rache. Johnny Silverhand, Alt Cunningham. Who was Alt Cunningham? Why was she significant? And Adam Smasher. Those are my points. Right, so let's just check these out, okay? First of all, Richard Alex Knight. So he was the founder of Night City. He wanted to create a new, safe, and corporate city free of crime and urban blight. Okay, insert the laugh track here on the podcast. We're gonna insert a laugh track.
Free of crime.
That was his dream for Night City. Okay, but the organized crime syndicates didn't jive with how he was developing the city. So, like 4 years after its initial construction, they murdered him and took over the development of the city. So, like chaos ensued. laying the foundations of the Night City that we know now.
Wow.
But in 2009, this is cool because I didn't know any of this. 2009, corporations decided that they had enough and they hired hired a solo combat squad. So like hired assassins, killer for hires, cyber enhanced soldiers to take out the gang leaders and established corporation controlled city council. Okay, so they created corporate security forces with full authority within the city limits to restore all the order and clean up the streets that was, because of the gangs. Now, ostensibly, this was the beginning of what we would see as like mega corporate power, the likes of Arasaka and Militech, which I thought was really cool because I had no idea. I was like, why are corporations so huge, and why, where did they start, and how did that become a thing? Well, it's because they had enough with all the syndicates that were running Night City shortly after they killed Alex Knight. So that's number one. Bart Moss, the Fall of the Net. We talked about this a little bit, but I mean, as you know, he was a legendary net runner who caused the data crash.
Netrunner is a hacker,
Basically,
like a person who scours the net.
but it's
And
not.
an edge runner is
And an edge runner,
I don't really know how that's clear
a
yet.
cyberpunk. Is
an
your
edge
character.
runner is
Okay.
you. You play it's like a merc, someone who lives
cyberpunk.
on the other side of the law,
Yeah.
or
I see.
skirts the edge of the law.
skirts the edge of the law.
But the thing about a net runner is you have to remember they're not always criminals. A net runner is just somebody who works within the frame of the net to establish security or whatever, right? So,
Right.
anyway, Netwatch declared Bart Moss as a criminal and an outlaw. We're going to talk about Netwatch and why. And the media called him a madman, okay? But why? We don't really know why did Bart Moss crash the net, okay? We talked about the fact that he did, but I never told you guys why, and you might not have come across this in the game, so check it out. He wrote a letter just before his release of Rabbids, his viruses into the net. That stands for Roving Autonomous Bart Moss Interface Drone. Now, the letter emerges as a data shard in the game, so you can read it in the game.
I think I read it. I think I saw
It's
it.
called The Undoing. Did you read that? The Fall of the First
think
Net.
so.
That's what it's called.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, now, the author who sets up this letter in the shard says it only recently emerged because it had been censored, kept hidden by powers that never wanted the public to read it for what seems like obvious reasons. He destroyed the net because of its eventual violation of human privacy and deprivation of our free will.
Yep.
And stripping us of our dignity because, I mean, it just grew so fast and, like, you just, it was so permeated in our lives.
Where's our Bart Moss now?
But that's also why this game is sweet because it's just so relevant now in 2022. Anyway, so that was why he destroyed the net. Now, Netwatch branded him a criminal because they were a global net policing organization. Its initial purpose was to patrol the net in order to prevent cybercrimes and illegal activity like the shit that Bart Moss made.
Rogue
but after
AIs.
Now, after his data crash, they just tried to contain the dangerous AIs and secure what they could from the old net. That was kind
Inside
of what
the
they had
black
to just
wall.
do. Yeah. Now, but the creation of the black wall is cool because that was the foundings of that was Netwatch made contact with those AIs that had managed to survive Bart Moss's like rogue malware, and they worked with them to gain control of the net, and they called that the Blackwall Project, but it wasn't kept on any records. That was how it started. They were just working with those AIs that survived Bart Moss's crash and tried to get control of it after. That was Netwatch's big thing.
And they contained it within what they call the black wall.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, their objective, one of the primary ones, was to just prevent the penetration of this new virtual firewall, to prevent those rogue AIs from breaking and causing mayhem. But it was funny because that plotted Netwatch against gangs like Voodoo Boys who wished to destroy the black wall because they believed that the AIs would help them and humanity. Now, it depends on your perspective here. I don't know why they would think that. Maybe because they felt the same as Bart Moss. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, corporations also use Netwatch for security measures. So they use netrunners to set up their security in their networks and all this shit and prevent cybercrimes from happening, people to hacking into their networks. So that was what Netwatch really was about. They were just policing the net in trying to build that black wall and prevent it from being broken down again, etc. Now, the last few we have are just characters, okay? This is kind of cool. Johnny Silverhand. We all want to know, who's Johnny? Like, why is he significant? He was, first, he was born as Robert John Linder in College Station, Texas. He's a Texas boy, okay?
What year was he born? Does it say that?
1988. 1988. And he was a military vet. So he joined the military at like a young age, as a teenager, I think. And he defined the Rocker Boy movement. Now, Rocker Boy was an original class in the first generation Cyberpunk games. You could be a Rocker Boy.
Sweet.
They're mostly musicians, but not always, who use their art to inspire rebellion against authority. Other examples, though, include like street poets, actors, but even like social activists and politicians and stuff. Just anyone who like rises up and fights the power. Johnny fought in the devastating Second Conflict of 2003, which you can read about in the game, in shards and stuff like that. In Nicaragua and Mexico, that's where that took place. One which was a conflict which was orchestrated by a corrupt and manipulative government, whose secrets were exposed, and many soldiers deserted the cause, so they just left. And Johnny was one of them. He's like, "Fuck this! I don't believe in any of this. So I'm leaving." But then the government created propaganda campaigns to make the American public hate those deserters, and Johnny was one of them. But he decided not to fight in a war that led to his losing his arm and one of his best friends who died protecting him. So that, again, ostensibly was the foundations of his revolt and misgivings toward like authority and government, right? Because like he lost his arm for a fucking war he didn't even really believe in.
And his buddy.
So it's pretty crazy. Now, Alt Cunningham, do you guys remember her? We all know Alt Cunningham. She was Johnny's girlfriend, first of all. But do you know why she was significant?
I just did that quest line last night.
Yeah, another option. So she was considered the best netrunner in Night City in the 2000s to the 2010s, okay?
Mm-hmm.
She was the developer of the Soul Killer.
Yeah.
Arasaka kidnapped her to develop a version of it, and they do talk about this in the game, so we're not going to talk about it here, but there is a quest line that reveals some really cool stuff about that, so keep your eyes open for it. So that's
it's
why...
It's part of the main quest, I think. It's one of the main jobs.
Main job. So that's why Alt Cunningham is significant. She's an important player, a big player, prior to 2077. Now, Adam Smasher. Okay, Nathaniel wanted to know a little bit about Adam Smasher. This is my last one. And a lot of shit here I had no idea.
Yeah, he's nuts.
Adam Smasher is a character. Both he's in the anime, he's in the game, and he's like this scary fucking cyborg guy. They call him the boogeyman of Night City, which is sweet. But anyway, he was a solo. He was a cyborg solo, a hitman, a bodyguard, mercenary, whatever word you want to use. He was employed by Arasaka and rose to the top as Yorinobu Arasaka's personal bodyguard. We know this, right? Now, he was described as cold and sadistic, originally a cyberpunk from New York City, I didn't know that, who joined the army after his gang was wiped out, but was discharged for bad conduct and became a gun for hire. Now, how he became Adam Smasher, how do we know this? I mean, again, it's probably from the code book, but apparently a job went badly and an RPG blast left him in human pieces, which were stuffed in the backpacks of his buddies and brought back to New York City, where Arasaka caught wind of his fate and I'm assuming his reputation. This was before they hired him, obviously. And they made him an offer. You either die or consign to corporate service as a full-bodied cyborg. And I don't think he gave a shit about humanity and anything because he was just a cold bastard. And he was like, okay, I'll live as a fucking machine. So that was his choice that he made. So that's how he ended up becoming, at least the way he looked, was a full-bodied cyborg because he was blown to bits. But apparently he enjoyed collateral damage and civilian casualties as conditions of his job, stipulations of his jobs.
Wow.
Yeah. He
what
was
a psycho. He's a fucking
he had a
psycho.
rivalry, big time. He had a rivalry with another merc named Morgan Blackhand, and I'll talk a little bit about that here. He was working for the opposing corporation of Militech. That's why Adam Smasher also wanted to get his hands on it, because it was the opposing corporate company, right? Perfect match for a rival. Smasher repeatedly made attempts to challenge him to a duel. He was always like, I want to fight you. But they were ignored, which fueled Smasher's rage even more, his psychotic rage. Smasher was also present at one of the really big kind of story events that happens with Johnny Silverhand and V in the main story. And you're going to see some of that in the gameplay if you do play it through. And I don't want to talk too much about that because it's a really cool part of it. And I was more enriched having not known anything about this. But that's kind of the background of Adam Smasher. And you do come across this fucking monster in the game.
It's in the anime.
Very, very cool. It's in the anime. So anyway, that's kind of my lore. At least I wanted to talk about some of the really cool shit you hear about when you play the game. You know, who is this person? What is this thing? Those are what I ended up with.
Nice.
Cool.
Nice.
Awesome.
And now Nasty Nate is going to take us through the debacle that was the launch of Cyberpunk 2077.
So the information here I gathered from a few different sources, and I'll just list them here so I don't have to fucking do it throughout the whole thing. So I got a piece from ScreenRant.com about Cyberpunk 2077, the original release dates and everything in between, the details between. I got it from the Cyberpunk Wikipedia page and an article from GameSpot.com all about the Cyberpunk 2077 delays. So let's start at the beginning. The Cyberpunk debacle from start to now. The title trailer, like just the title, okay, was posted on October 19th, 2012.
That's
Wow.
Showing the name and the design of like the
2012.
title. Just the fucking title, okay? 2012.
So you got a timeline here. This is what you're doing.
Yes,
You're timelining
yeah,
it.
I'm timelining it. The teaser trailer was shown January 10th, 2013. This one was just like a 10-second trailer. It was completely like, what the hell is going on in this trailer? This one I remember confusing me on what the game actually was.
Yeah, we didn't know.
We didn't know what the hell it was. It shows a Max Tac officer putting on her helmet. Did we think that we were going to be playing this officer? Like, we had no freaking
idea.
clue.
It was
We had
just
no
like
clue.
they were just setting it up. Like,
Yeah, and they were
making it
starting.
little.
We were starting that hype train, right? Because the model in the trailer had her mantis blades, right? And she was like crouching or standing over a couple of dead bodies, and then the Max
Right.
Tech officers were like there to stop her.
I have seen that. I remember that.
Yeah. So that one was the teaser trailer in 2013. Fast forward to 2019.
6 years later.
Okay.
6 years?
To E3 2019, they show us the first cinematic trailer. And I have all the links here. We might throw them up while we're talking about it.
This trailer was sick.
This trailer was fucking awesome. It was pretty much the cinematic trailer of like the first couple of missions, I think, with Dexter.
Yeah, it's not entirely.
Yeah. But when I
It's not
saw
accurate to what happens. It's just like a very early thing.
this trailer was sick. It blew my mind, man. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
the hype,
but
the hype
also-
is here.
Yeah, but it looks
Hype is
way. It looks fucking like.
Yeah, it was a cinematic trailer though.
Yeah,
they
it's
said
not-
cinematic trailer. They
so
didn't
it's
say
not in
gameplay.
game. Yeah,
No.
it's not in game graphics. It's much better looking than
That's
the actual game.
That's what I want to say is whoever thought that was in game when they said it was a cinematic trailer, then you obviously put yourself on the wrong foot already.
Yeah.
I mean, the graphics are still close, but that is like well, that's a pre-made like
it
really
was
nicely
Absolutely pre-rendered. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it might not have been pre-rendered, but very high poly count, everything.
Yeah, they
Wow.
pumped it up. They pumped it
They
up.
pumped it up.
It looked great though. Looked
Yeah,
great.
it looks sweet.
Now, we fast forward a little bit more here. And the original release date for Cyberpunk 2077 was April 16th, 2020, and a multiplayer experience was they told us would be coming later that year after the game was released.
Like, where's our multiplayer?
The pre-orders hit 8 million, says PCGamers.com.
Did you pre-order it? I don't think I did.
I did not pre-order. I don't
No,
pre-order shit.
I don't pre-order games. No. What for?
And this is exactly the reason why I don't. Okay?
Yeah. What for though?
Like why? They didn't give you anything? Whatever.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Well, on Amazon, I remember you used to get a discount if you pre-ordered. They don't
Yeah.
do that anymore.
They don't do that anymore. So why? Unless you're getting like a whole bunch of shit, there's no reason. This is when the bad news started.
The first delay.
The first delay for the game was from April 16th, 2020, got delayed to September 17th, 2020. That's a big delay.
And that's today.
What's that? 9?
Funnily enough.
What is that?
Oh.
How many months
shit.
is that?
Look at that.
5?
Yeah, 5 months, 6 months.
I remember that. I remember it being April.
Oh, yeah.
And then the news came, and I was like, fuck this, man.
But did you send death threats to CD Projekt Red? No.
No.
You didn't. Yeah, it was all him. What a fucking joke. Anyway, so they stated, we are currently, quote, we are currently at a state where the game is complete and playable. But there's still work to be done. Night City is massive, full of stories, content, and places to visit, but due to the sheer scale and complexity of it all, we need more time to finish playtesting, fixing, and polishing. We want Cyberpunk 2077 to be our crowning achievement for this generation, and postponing launch will give the precious months we need to make the game perfect. Yeesh. That's what I says after that. So let's dabble on that. The game is like massive. There's so much shit in that fucking game. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And the intricacies and the details that they put in that game, that they could have delayed it for 3 more years. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, when
it's
you think
unreal.
about what we're still kind of waiting for, what would still be cool for them to put in where you'd feel like they should be in already. So yeah, it's massive. It's enormous.
But you could
when you
keep
think
saying
about
that. You could keep thinking of things to put in this world,
Yeah,
in this
of
game.
course.
For, like, it's insane. So, yeah, like 5 months definitely was not, like, enough time. And
then there was a delayed again, though.
And then, yes, here comes another one. Then came another delay from September 17th to November 19th, 2020, as the studio chalked it up to its ambitious ideas of the game and more things needing to be ironed out. Like, think of how many years went by from 2013, I think it was 2013, to 2017. What is this? 2020.
20.
That's 7 years of hardware generation, right? The Xbox came out in when? 2013. Xbox One.
Ugh.
So
Vanilla
if
Xbox One. Like,
if
what
they
did
started,
They must have just been developing it on PC. Like, this was for PC.
exactly. This is what I'm going to make a little point here. Is I don't think they had the Xbox One and PS4 in mind when they started this. Like, I wouldn't, because they're 7 years later here, and they're about to be released. So in that time period in that 7 years, there was an Xbox One getting older and older and older and older and older. And then they're like, oh shit, well, we got to release it for Xbox One to make money and to make the suits happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then they probably tried to make some kind of bullshit port, which ended up being, I think, like, not the demise, but the real hurtful part of all this. Because you can't say, there's no way in fucking hell the game we saw in any content leading up to the launch was Xbox One or PS4, like, ready.
It seems
or
crazy in retrospect. It just seems absolutely like out
They
to
don't
lunch.
usually do that anyway. Like, usually it's always PC gameplay shown, right? I mean,
unless it's
probably.
made for the
PC.
console, right?
It's a mainly PC
You have to
game.
show the best like possible optimized
No,
visual.
it's 100%. It was for PC, and then they're just like, well, we're gonna. They probably had to release it on everything.
That's what I personally
delay,
think. And, like,
optimize.
and whoever
or
thought for 2 seconds that this game was gonna look remotely good or play good on a console that has already been out for 7 years is like, I don't understand. I can't really. Like, I was like, that's gonna look and run like shit on Xbox.
I think people
I'll get it
forget
for
how
PC.
old Xbox One is. Like, people forgot. Like, oh yeah, I've had this since 2013, and PS4 too. It's like, yeah, I think people just forgot that because Xbox One came out with like 3 different versions. Oh, Xbox One S, Xbox One X. Yeah, it's new. It's the same.
It was the
thing.
same fucking box.
Depends on your lifestyle too, and how often you game. Like, imagine having a family and all these kids, and like you never game, and then you look at your Xbox, you play it every now and then, and it's already been 7 years, and you're like, oh yeah, still have that Xbox. But like it
Exactly.
felt like yesterday because you just don't play it every day. You don't see all the you know what I mean? It depends on how often you're playing.
Yeah, and in the past, like how long did a console last before the next iteration came? 5 years, 6 years, maybe. They pushed 7 years with the Xbox One and released this game on Xbox One on 2020. Like, I said to myself, I'm like, I'm not buying that for console. Why would I do that?
No fucking way.
No fucking way. So let's jump ahead a little bit more. Then we got the final delay from November 19th, 2020 to December 10th, 2020 for the PC, Xbox One, and PS4. And the PS5 and Series X upgrades to come free in 2021.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. So they weren't even developing for the next gen, right? They weren't even...
Right. I remember that being a little shocking. I was like, oh, fuck. So I've got a PlayStation 5 and I'm not even
Next
getting
gen
the
was
PS5,
brand new.
PS5
Exactly.
version. So I've got
So it's like...
Brand new. Yeah, so you played it on... What did you play it on then first? PS4?
I played my PS4 Pro version of the game on my PlayStation 5, which was like 60 FPS, and some of it looked great and some of it not so much, but it ran great, and I didn't have that many problems. So,
But you still put in hours.
oh yeah, I couldn't. I could not play it. I was like, well, I'll just play it then, and I'll play it on next gen when it comes out again, which I am. That's exactly what happened. That's what I'm doing now.
They had all that ready to go for PC. I think we dabbled on that. And then we thought we were going to get the Series X and PS5 versions on that day launch. And they're like, no, that's later. So that just gives you an idea of how rushed the Xbox One and PS4 versions were. Right? Like, couldn't they have just released it on PC and then gave the console kids all their versions in the next year? You know what I mean?
They've done that before. Games have done that. I think developers have done that before, right? Where a game comes out on PC first, and then it's like coming to consoles in the next year or whatever.
They do it all the time.
Yeah, but they had also been... Yeah, I mean, ideally, yeah, but we live in a world of instant gratification where everybody wants everything right away, and they want to release everything right away, and
including the investors.
Yeah. And but you have to realize they were developing this for 7 years on the old gen stuff for console, right? Like when did they get their hands on the new gen dev kits? Who knows? Like 2 years earlier, and they probably didn't even start putting it on that until
exactly.
So
also,
obviously it's going to be delayed.
It was a brand new engine too. It was a brand new engine for Cyberpunk that they had to build from the ground up. Like this project was fucking massive. It was huge. Anyway, then it happened. Then it happened, guys. The game released on December 10th, 2020, and it was unplayable by most of its PS4 and Xbox One gamers. Bugs would crash their systems and delete their saves.
I remember that.
Models wouldn't load and quests wouldn't progress. It was a nightmare on console. The game was then delisted from the PlayStation Store for 6 months because of all the refunds that everybody wanted. The cries for refunds howled in the streets of Night City. A complete disaster. The media then poked and prodded at this story for months, gaining more and more traction as gamers around the world were hurting that they couldn't play the most anticipated game of the last, 5 years or 7 years on their 7-year-old consoles.
This is good. I'm really getting a sense of the journey that Cyberpunk has gone through here. I like this. I feel like we're recounting the Chernobyl disaster in Russia at the fucking Kremlin or whatever they did.
That's small fries. This is bigger than that.
But
the main issue was that it ran the whole reason this got out of hand was because the hardware when this game came out that the majority of people had was old gen. This is right at the beginning, the start of the tech shortage when this came out, you couldn't get a console, you couldn't get a GPU. So like everyone had old stuff. The majority of people had old stuff. So even old PC hardware, like they didn't have 3080s. No one could get a fucking 3080. No one could get a 3090. So that ultimately was the thread that unraveled the sweater, if you will.
It was very bad timing. Yes.
Where we didn't experience, it was just a timing thing. And we didn't experience that because I had a 3080 a month after it came out. Like I had it right away. You know, we got PS5s.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just, for us, we were fortunate to play the game as it was supposed to be played, which was awesome.
At least
on PC.
with what existed.
On PC.
Yeah. For
Now-
you guys,
Daniel maybe didn't because he had a PS4 Pro, but I mean, he had still a better experience
PlayStation.
than. Oh, no, you had a PS5. You had a PS5.
PS5 at the time. So I could at least play it on something good.
Yeah. So I mean, that's ultimately what it came down to, and it got shit for it. It got shit on because nobody could get new hardware, and they had to play it on their old hardware, which was not a good experience.
No, exactly. And
Now, I mean, sorry, go ahead, Daniel.
no, I'm just gonna keep going. Go ahead.
Okay, so I was gonna say, now imagine how long this game's been in development. Okay, we said since 2012, 2013, and imagine how heartbreaking that is for such terrible timing with CD Projekt Red. Like they wanted this, they said it, they wanted it to be their crown jewel of this generation, and then this fucking disaster hits.
Just
You know,
a
shitty
fucking
tech,
shit show.
shitty shortage on everything for their beautiful game to come out that everyone's been wanting to play and that they've been working a decade on of their lives. I get stressed out when I've worked on 6 months for a song. Could you imagine 10 years for a game and it comes out and then this happens? Like, and then everyone, I feel like people don't think about that. And like they have zero empathy.
Yep.
And I'm always a sympathizer for developers because of this kind of shit. Because I know what it's like to make stuff. I mean, you guys do too. So anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's just a shitstorm happened and they fell in the crack, right? It was that bridge to the new generation of hardware, right? And this game was meant for the new generation of hardware. And and like I said before, we didn't have this console generations last this long, right? Like it was so fucked. It was completely fucked. The whole bridge was crumbling to begin with, okay? And I was fortunate to get a 370. Jonathan got a 380. And when we played this game, we were
3080.
fucking
3070.
3070. 3080, sorry.
Fucking gonk.
And like, I didn't experience the shit everyone was talking about.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm glad that we did not do that.
Yeah.
Because it was a great game.
it was a great game.
And like, that was it the first game?
It is a great game. Okay, man, it's not dead yet, man. We got so much more to go,
Well, that's what we're trying to tell
That's
people
what we're trying
here.
to tell people.
We're trying to tell
Yeah.
people how good it was, and it is a crowning achievement,
And
really.
I think
Yeah.
so.
I think so too. And a lot of expectation was too high to begin with, maybe. Maybe their marketing team went a little too far. But they didn't see this bullshit storm that was going to happen, right? Like I don't know. So expectations, timing.
Well, I'm sure the
was a bad
devs
thing.
saw it. I'm just like,
Oh, yeah,
but
for sure.
The people, the head honchos,
corpo-
the fucking corpos, they don't care. They'll release
Well,
it.
imagine
We
the
want it
devs had to
fucking-
walk into these boardroom offices with their hats off.
I have some bad news. I'm afraid we can't get the game. We're still not ready yet.
Right? And the board guys are
Like,
like,
print it, you little fuck.
yeah, listen, grab him by the
Print it.
collar. You'll get this fucking game out in 3 months. You understand?
Yeah, I mean,
That's
what it is.
I'm sure that's how it went, right? And then the crunch happened. I bet you those guys were sleeping under their keyboards.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Pissing in their trash cans right by their desk. Like, you fucking unreal.
God.
And what makes me angry is how everyone these days is like, oh, pro dev, stop the crunch, blah, blah, blah. But like, that was happening for the past 20 fucking years. And it happened to this game. And there was no sympathy for Cyberpunk 2077 and the devs over at CD Projekt Red. Like, come on.
Then they got hacked.
Oh, yeah, I'll get to that. I'm getting to that.
Oh, yeah, right. Fuck, I forgot
So-
about that.
Where was I? So just what happened, right? So It was the anticipated game for the last 5 or 7 years on 7-year-old consoles. Just what happened? Why was it released in this state? We kind of just talked about it. How did the company with such blockbuster hits, such as the Witcher series, not see this coming? And I Googled a few reasons. Okay. It was released too early because it was deemed the best financial, quote,
Right.
the best financial decision for CDPR and its investors.
Underline investors.
End quote. In other words, release it on old generation of consoles to make bank instead of holding it back and making it better. Okay? Getting it out before they put the old consoles to bed, in other words.
Yeah, because nobody had a new console, so
Exactly,
the money
right?
is in the old consoles.
Exactly. Number 2, the game was too big and they bit off more than they could chew. That was another reason someone said.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. This one was good. Making sure the penis models were just right.
Yes, I think I could have used a few more penis
Yeah,
models.
I
We only
could've
did-
Jonathan took full advantage of that one. Yeah. Remember that glitch where your
fuck.
dick was like hanging out
hanging
of your
pants.
fly?
Fuck, that's funny.
It's coming out of your fly.
Number 4. Apparently, they didn't start development on Cyberpunk until 2016. This is a rumor. I don't know if it's true. So finishing a game of that
There's no
size
way.
in 4 years
That's got to be false.
was very difficult to do.
We had a trailer in 2013. There's no way they started in 2016.
I don't know.
That's false.
Um,
Fake news. That's fake news.
Number 5. 8 years of hardware changes between the time it was announced and released. We talked about that.
Yes, that's
That's
true.
huge. True. I believe that's true. Number 6, and the final one that I was able to scrounge, was their ambition was too much for old gen shit hardware, but instead of pulling back, they pumped it up for PC while trying to make it work on old gen Xbox and PS4, like the ray tracing and all that kind of shit, you know? And,
So these are all points that you Googled. You found these just
Yeah.
as general consensus.
yeah, like on Reddit and
On-
their
yeah,
Wikipedia
okay.
and shit like that. Like people were
Interesting.
just like, oh, maybe this is what happened. Maybe this.
These were the points.
Just
yeah.
some food for thought. Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's the issue. That's what it was. Okay. Their vision, they had a vision. They are creators. They have a vision they want to portray. They meant for it to be portrayed on cutting edge tech.
Yeah, it was stifled. It was
But it
stifled
just
by
couldn't
investors
be,
and hardware.
It just couldn't be portrayed on
On the
old
latest
hardware.
Chrome, you know?
Yeah, on the fucking the latest Chrome. They're constantly trying to find the balance between performance and fidelity and 2 generations of hardware. Going forward, I hope we don't see this kind of thing anymore from devs, you know?
It's starting to
better
happen.
be
though.
Hopefully they
huge
just phase out
learning.
that old
Yeah.
hardware.
It better be a big learning experience for these developers and investors.
For
'Cause,
other
like,
developers too, not only CD Projekt Red, but like
no, I know that's what I mean
people
for
need to
these
look at
game
this.
developers in general and investors. I don't know if they're going to learn from it because they still give a fuck about one.
They
thing,
just want
right?
the money.
The
They
bottom
don't give a
line.
shit.
But it is a business.
Yeah.
But whenever the suits are pushing your creativity, and it will hurt in the long run, like, it's just that
Yeah,
bothers
I
me.
don't know.
Anyway.
It doesn't.
Um,
But once I feel like once they get that money, though, they don't give a shit.
They
Once
don't
that
give a
money's
fuck,
put into their
yeah.
bank accounts, it's like, well, whatever. The game was a flop when it came out. Who cares? We got fucking,
8 million pre-orders.
Right, but I don't think that's CD Projekt Red. Like, that's not the developers.
No, of course not.
Right,
Not
and
at
I
all.
think people are getting that a little
Yes.
too, like, how do you say it? Merged? Confused?
They're blurring it
They're
because
blurring
they
it.
think it's the developers that wanted to put it out on Xbox One
Yeah.
and PS4.
I'm sure they
Like,
did
no.
not.
Vanilla Xbox One.
I should not.
They were even quoted as warning people, weren't they? Or at least they were. I thought there was some sort of discussion about that.
I think they were
from
like
CD Projekt
hinting
Red
at
officially.
it on a couple of tweets.
Right.
So anyway, then to make things worse, CD Projekt Red gets hacked and ransomwared on February 8th, 2021. So this was a couple of months after it was released. Could this have slowed down upcoming expansions, patches,
think
what
so,
needed to be done to get this game running optimally on the old shit hardware? Yes. Completely yes. Was that their fault, getting ransomwared?
Probably.
Could
That
be.
was one of the corpos clicked on a fucking attachment from a
Fuck,
spam
man.
email.
For sure, yeah.
It's like, oh,
Some fucking idiot.
my Nigerian prince cousin is sending me money.
Like I work in the industry of that, not game development, but like getting ransomed, all this shit. Like if they don't have a backup, okay, a correct backup, maybe their backup didn't run, maybe something fucked up and their backup didn't
Was
run.
it a ransomware?
It was ransomware. So everything was locked, right?
Yeah, they
And
couldn't
they
get
weren't-
into it their own source
Right.
files, no?
And they didn't want to pay the ransomware because it was probably $1 million or some shit like that, right? And to give you guys some, experience about that is I had multiple clients get ransomwared. Multiple. And there's some people who don't pay for proper backups. And they get fucked. They get absolutely, completely fucked. Okay? Everything is rock solid locked unless you pay that Bitcoin. So you can either not pay the Bitcoin, the absurd amount of Bitcoin that the hackers want, or you can backtrack 2 years or a month or 2 months or 3 months from when the last successful backup was that you wanted to pay your IT company for, right?
Yeah.
So let's say their backup server crashed and they didn't have a backup and their last backup was a month ago. Let's just say. Do you know how much work is done in a month and you get ransomwared? Come
That's even
on.
still so much time.
Okay, that easily could have pushed anything back. Patches,
Especially because they're working,
anything.
15 hours a day, too?
I don't
for a
recall
month?
it
It's
being-
not like a...
Ransomware. That's fucking horrible.
It's horrible. It's a horrible, shitty thing
was
that could
the,
happen to you.
shit icing on the fucking cake.
And it was only because this media bullshit that kept prodding and poking at the release of this, right? Because bad news is great news for that outlet, right? Or that website or that article or whoever. And then when the hackers were like, oh, it'd be fucking hilarious if we could somehow get in here and just lock them down and get some money out of
This is disgruntled Xbox One and PS4 users who
Oh
hacked
my
them.
God,
That's what
man.
it was.
Yeah, honestly, I genuinely believe that, too.
It's like, these fuckers, they can't make a game for my Xbox.
They don't know how to make a game.
I can't get a 3080. I can't get a
Oh, man.
PS5.
And just
I'm going to send them an
getting
email with an
ransomware
attachment that I bought online.
that you
Yeah, it's just
download a
some
script
loser
online.
kid, who bought something online, bought a ransomware script or something online, put it in an
Send them
attachment,
an email.
send them fucking email. That's what it is.
Isn't that
Bought it with
crazy?
his dad's credit card.
Yep.
Some little stupid puke.
It could have been anything. It could have been something just like that.
Yeah.
Then the next generation or the next gen upgrades came in February 2022. That was this year. Did they come in, Daniel?
Yes.
This year, yeah.
In the winter.
Yeah, February 2022. So those probably would have been out earlier if they didn't get ransomware by like at least a few months earlier. So
So I feel like that's what
let's
they
just-
were working on primarily when they got hacked.
let's just put that in perspective there, okay? And now here we are in fall 2022 with patch 1.6 and the expansion coming out in 2023. To
Can
date,
I just say that I think, but by the way, when that new gen update came out, that was like the pivoting point for everyone to kind of see the potential. Okay, here we
Yes.
go. This is where it starts to kind
Yes.
of ramp back up.
1.6, like the one that just came, even 1.5 was fantastic. Like the next gen upgrades were fantastic in my opinion. To date, the game has sold 18 million plus copies, with 13.7 million in 2020 and 4.3 million in 2021. So that brings us up to date on the whole fiasco of Cyberpunk 2077. So
What a
Turn for the
journey.
worst, turn for the best, you know?
What a
It's just-
journey.
It's been 84 years.
And the passion I see from the developers and the creators on their Twitter, on their streams that they put out, they're really working hard. Okay? And this game, I don't feel like it didn't deserve it.
It's their baby. They
It
don't give
didn't-
a shit about the money. I mean, they got to live, sure, but that's not why they started making games. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, in the end, we're going to go through some kind of stuff like our playthroughs. But after all this, in the end, I don't feel like they got a bad rap, but a lot of it was out of their control, I think.
I think so.
And a lot of people, I don't believe, see that.
Mm-hmm.
And they just decided, I'm not going to buy that game.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Now, I've heard complaints about people still being upset with CD Projekt Red because shit that looked like it was going to be in the game wasn't. Now, do you think that comes from the same problem because they were just rushed, or they just were like, well, we still have to get a base version out and we can't put all that shit in yet, like the
There's
monorail stuff?
It's probably
You know what I mean?
priority that
There's
list
priorities,
that they had of stuff.
Right.
Like this isn't fucking No Man's Sky in that like in that sense. You remember that?
Oh, that
No
was another
Man's Sky.
shit show.
No
That guy
Man's Sky
fucking
was
lied.
like- yeah,
Straight up lied to
straight up
people.
lied. Like this isn't that.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
Don't even get me started on that. How was that not exploded and turned into and people love No Man's Sky? Like, that was horse shit what he did to us.
Well, I feel like it was just less high profile. It was lower
Yeah,
profile
I
than CD
guess.
Projekt Red's Cyberpunk.
perspective
you know.
again. You know?
Yeah, it was pretty. I don't know. I was looking forward to No Man's Sky, and then it just
But
completely
again,
turned
it
to
got
shit.
better because all you need is time. You know what I mean?
So that has been the journey to where we are now. Let's talk about the game.
Yeah.
People are still with us here. I feel we needed to tell the story.
Yeah.
But the game,
It's true.
the game itself, I mean, we can talk a bit about our playthroughs. We can tell a little bit more about the game, about what you can do in the game without getting into too many spoilers, if, hopefully no spoilers, but
Mm-hmm.
there are start at the beginning. You have a character creation. It's pretty good character creation. Lots of options. You can be
Oh my god, it took me so long to make
yeah.
my very first character. I was like, I probably sat there for an hour and a half because I was just flipping through everything, right? Just like, oh, what's that look like? Ooh, what's this look like?
Yeah. So you can also
was sweet.
choose. You can also choose 3 different starting paths,
Mm-hmm.
or origin stories, the background stories for your character. One is the nomad, one is the street kid, and the other is the corpo. So the street kid is what it says. You grew up on the streets of Night City. You're kind of like poor, scraping by kind of thing, making trouble on the streets.
But you know the scene,
But
you know the urban
city,
scene.
It's
Yeah.
the nomad is you're from outside of Night City in the Badlands. You're from a family, a camp,
Kind of a tribe, eh?
like
a
a
tribe.
tribal.
Yeah.
And then the other one is like a corpo, where you work for the big corporation in Night City. One of the big corporations, Arasaka, and you start out in the city with a job at the corporation. That's where you start.
Right.
Whew. So
I have not played Corpo yet.
Yeah,
I've
either
done
have I.
Street Kid and Nomad.
I've done
done
Corpo and Street Kid. I have not done Nomad.
Nice.
But yeah, so we can talk about our playthroughs. I played first through on the PS5 or on PC, and then second on the PS5. I'm playing now on PS5, but there's cross progression now, so I can play on either with my new file, which is cool. You, Nathaniel, you played on PC first.
Yep.
Dan played on PS4 Pro on PS5.
When I started this game, I was like, I had been watching a lot of videos, and when I loaded in my PS4 version on PS5 and started playing, I was like, okay, so I can see where it needs some work a bit in terms of draw distance and resolution, whatever, because it wasn't 1080 or it wasn't 4K, it wasn't anything like spectacular, I don't think. But I had little to no glitches. I was immersed, and that's all I wanted. I was playing through the game, I was playing through the story, and I started my character, and I was doing the jobs, and getting to know the city and what it looked like for the first time and all that stuff. And it was anything. It was exactly as I would want it to be in that state. And I had gone in with not a huge amount of expectations, and I loved it.
What about you,
Initial
Jonathan?
touchdown in Night City, yeah, because I was playing with like ray tracing on,
Fuck yeah.
Oh my god,
2K
man. I can't even
resolution.
imagine that.
And I was just like, oh, and I'm getting 70, 80 frames
Mhm.
with DLSS on, of course, on quality mode. And I was just like, this is unbelievable. Now, I
Yeah.
was in HDR, maybe, but my monitor isn't very high HDR. It's only like 300 nits. So, but either way, like looking around and you're like, oh my God. Was it the first game we had ray tracing? Maybe it was. Maybe the second game.
Probably where you saw the power of it. Maybe
Where you saw the
first,
power,
like-
yeah.
Yeah, I
Like
think
the
first
real
game was Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Was the campaign of Call of Duty?
That was pretty good too. But
which
like,
one was that?
That was
Cold War?
The old one, yeah.
Cold War.
Yeah.
But this was the second game with ray tracing, but it was friggin' like
Fuck, man.
the scale was way bigger. It was a huge city, and it was just like I remember being on the docks, maybe I forget whereabouts, but like looking across the water at Night City, and I was like, oh my God, this is
Yeah.
freaking crazy.
Breathtaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
you
was-
stop multiple times and you're just like, fuck, man. This is like Akira. This is insane.
Yeah, it was everything I wanted. Like, this is sweet. First playthrough, I went female, corpo, no nipples.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because you have that option. I was like,
Yeah.
who needs nipples? Just shave them off. True female, vagina.
Right.
Then on PS5, I'm a male street kid with nipples and
a penis.
smallest penis. Smallest penis. Smallest penis option. I mean, I don't recall which spec I chose on the first playthrough. I think I was just kind of, I
just
didn't know what
everywhere.
I wanted, right? So you're just like choosing all these different specs and mishmash of everything. I remember I had like, I think it was heavy into blades because I had the mantis blade arms. So I would just kill everyone with that.
I
think
still
that's
haven't
what I
used
did.
those. That'll be cool.
Yeah.
My second playthrough now, I'm like full hacking and like assault rifles and submachine guns. So hacking with a little shooting as well.
Nice.
Did you go mishmash first round?
So I played on PC with a 3070, so I wasn't getting the fidelity that you were, I suppose. But I cranked it up anyway, and I was playing like 30 FPS, I think. Cranked it up 30, 40 FPS on PC with everything maxed with DLSS on, and I couldn't believe it. Like the work they put into that. And just the details, like the photo mode, you go into photo mode, zoom in on your character, like look at the skin texture. You know, like look at the gun textures and the nuts and bolts inside the car when you go first person in the car. The detail in this game
I do love the dashes in the car.
is unbelievable, the detail in this game.
You know, the interior of that car that I got
Yeah.
is sick.
And like it glows and the lights and the dials and this, oh man. That's-
on the OLED, it's like you got to come see it on my TV. It's
Nah,
like
man.
Yeah, that would be
1,000.
I wouldn't want to leave your house. I had no game ending or killing bugs, no deleted saves, none of that shit. Like nothing. Nothing stopped me from playing this game. And I don't know. All
There
three
was
of
funny
us.
bugs.
Yeah, there were
in
funny bugs, but so was in Skyrim. So was it in every other fucking game. You know what I mean?
GTA, Grand Theft Auto all
GTA,
the
same
time.
shit, man. Same shit. Like Jackie's guns. This was funny. Jackie's guns when he was talking to you with his hands, he'd have his guns in his hands for this like bug. It was fucking funny. I was like, stop pointing those guns at me. He's like, you know what I mean, Chum? Just fucking and then he like put his hands in his pockets and the guns would stick on his belt, like outside his belt. Just shit like that. It wasn't game breaking or like anything like that. I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
But the game was beautiful. It was new. It was just what I wanted, like just what we wanted, right? I was hooked. The next gen graphics were there, the ray tracing, the detail, and the freedom. I created a female street kid, full female with nipples, with vagina, nice landing strip on the pubic hair. Cool ass fucking hair. You know, she was not all the rings in her face, like all the piercings.
Piercings. Piercings. Did it hurt when you do that?
You like that? When it hurt a little bit?
Well, it hurt a little bit. But yeah, the piercings, eye makeup. She was fucking badass. She still is badass. I love her so much. I spec'd into. I was a bit of mishmash for the first 10 levels because I didn't know what the fuck I wanted to do. But then I went into blades and hand-to-hand combat. So I got my gorilla arms with fire fists, and I just fucking pummel people down into the ground, and they just light on fire, and they fucking die.
Okay, well, let's talk about the spec. We can tell people about the spec.
funny.
That's not spoilers.
That's not spoilers.
of course
There's
not.
so much.
There's a lot of stuff you can do. I feel like it's good for any type of play style. It has something for anyone. If you want to be a sniper, you want to be up close hand-to-hand combat, katanas,
Oh, the
blades.
katanas are so good. Yeah.
Hacking
You can
was
do
so
hacking.
sweet.
You can be a
That's what I
ninja
did.
stealthing around. You can be acrobatic. You can go into crafting and
My first one
grenades
was
and
hacking,
bombs and stuff.
and I OP'd the shit out of it. I remember working up my hacking
That's
to
what I'm
the
doing now.
max, and I had I don't know how many cyber mods I could put in my OS, and I had this redonkulous, legendary
That's what I have right now. I just
cyber
bought it.
chip or whatever my OS.
So go over that. Go over
Cyber
the cyber deck and what it is.
Okay, so for hacking, if you want to be a hacker or a quick hacker, you have cyber mods that you can install in your body, and one of the main ones is your OS, which is your head. It's like what controls
Your
everything, I guess.
It's called the cyber deck.
Yeah, and it's remember in Witcher 3 you could do the scan, the vision where you could see things?
Yeah.
It's like that, but this is it tells you everything about anything you scan. So if you scan an enemy, it will tell you the weakness, what his weakness is.
Well, hang on now. That's your Kiroshi optics, though, that lets
Oh,
you
that's
scan.
your optics. Yeah, but you
Yeah,
have
your
that
cyber
from
deck
the
is just
beginning.
what lets you hack.
Okay.
It gives you the facility for everything, like what's that poison one you like to do?
Contagion.
What's that called? Contagion. So
Mm-hmm.
it gives you the capability to do that. They're like little chips you
Yes, you
have.
you install. So you can install these different hacks on your OS that give you the opportunity or the ability to hack enemies. So a hack would be, for example, short circuit. You can short circuit someone's cyber deck, which gives them electrical damage. Or you can overheat them, which does fire damage. And
Over
you
time,
do
I think,
this,
right?
Yeah, it's a dot.
Right.
So you can it's called uploading these quick hacks onto your enemy's cyber deck. So that's what quick hacking is. You're doing that to multiple enemies, but you have a limitation of what you can do because they cost RAM, and the more RAM you have in your cyber deck, the more quick hacks you can do at the same time.
I had so much RAM.
Yeah,
at
and
one
they have
point.
cooldowns
It was
and stuff like that.
across
It's-
the screen.
Yeah,
I was like hack.
I
never ran out.
I think I have 14 right now.
Well, what's cool is the
And then
perks
it's- you
perks
can
allow it to
regen.
regen, right?
Yes, then your perks, if you spec into quick hacking, you can regen your RAM over time, so you can hack faster and hack more. It's just hacking is so cool. Hacking in Breach Protocol is a bit different. Breach Protocol is if you roll up to a place, let's say, where you have a group of enemies, they're going to be all in the same network.
Right.
And you can do a breach protocol on one of them, which will breach you into their network. So you get, there's 3 different things. There's usually, it'll reduce your RAM cost on quick hacks against everyone in that network.
Yep.
There's a reduced resistance. So everyone on that network will have reduced weaker against you. And then there's one for cameras. So all surveillance cameras on that network or in that area associated with those enemies will be deactivated.
Yeah.
So you can kind of do that stuff. That's called breach protocol. So you can also
you should
spec
be
into
doing
that.
Yeah,
Every
it's like
time you
setting
roll
up your
into
mission.
a
Yeah, it's like
situation.
setting up
Yeah.
your hack, exactly. So you roll up into a place, you want to do a breach protocol on one of them first, which will set up your whole attack on that base or whatever. that's kind of what I'm doing right now. Is
I loved
quick
pinging
hacking.
too. Pinging was so cool because I'd
Pinging's
roll
good.
up on a base or something or a warehouse, and I'm like, okay, how many do I actually have to face here? And I would just count them all and try to kind of keep a mental. Okay, he's down. I probably got maybe 10 more, and it was just a nice idea to. Because they're always hiding, right? You never you're gonna walk in there and you get your fucking head blown off because there's this huge dude with like one of those massive MGs, and you're just like taking so much damage. But if you know where they are, but I can't do that right now, right? Because I don't have a cyber deck installed. I only have like a berserk thing.
Oh, you did the berserker.
I had that.
yeah.
for a while,
So
too.
you activate that with your shoulder buttons, and that it like gives you extra crit damage, crit chance, increases
But it
melee
hurts you,
damage,
no?
and all this type of shit, right?
Yeah,
No.
there's so many options. So many options of how you can play the game. And
Yeah.
I didn't hack. In my first playthrough, I ran in, fucking boom, just punch them across the room, just
yeah, you
slice
can do
them all
whatever you
up.
want. That's what
Jumping
is
like
so
people's
good.
heads off.
I installed those legs where I jump super high, like the aliens
those,
from
yeah.
that Contact movie. It's
Super
like
jump.
boom! I just jump into the rafters,
Yeah.
and I fucking shoot them from there. Jump back down, slam into the ground, chop them up, punch them up. Like fuck, it was so good. It was so fucking awesome. It was so awesome.
Yeah.
It's, that's what I feel. People just don't know. Maybe like
How fun it is.
look past all the shit
fun,
that
man.
happened.
Yeah.
And to look at the game. Now we have 1.6 that's out. It fixed a bunch of stuff, bugs, more bug
Right.
fixes, and it added a bunch of stuff in the game. It added a little quest that came out with the anime. The anime was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like a separate topic altogether. Like
Oh,
the
yeah.
anime was amazing.
I feel
And
like people are
it
just
made me
really
want to play
missing
more.
out on.
It actually made me want to play.
Me too. I want to play right now, and I'm probably gonna later tonight.
So yeah,
I was gonna say, I think a lot of people are missing out because of all the shit. They haven't looked past it yet. They haven't just tried the fucking game. Play the game, and you'll forget about all your troubles and all those worries that you thought about. But people are missing out because they're like, "Oh, I'll never play that."
There's some people who actually had bought the game, listened to the media, and never played their fucking copy. Can you
Yeah,
believe
and it's
that?
on their shelf.
oh,
Can you
man.
fucking believe that?
Gonks.
Man, that drives me
then-
nuts.
And going back to that, like going back to a different, like there's something for everybody. If you like a narrative, if you're like a story, like the main story is really good, and there's lots of
Yeah.
cinematic like storytelling quests that are like watching a movie kind of, and there's a lot of scenes that are like that, and the story is good. The story is really good.
I liked it. I
It's-
enjoyed it. And the story wasn't that long. It was what, 25
it's
hours?
not
It's a
that
short
long.
story, but I feel like there's just everything else adds to the time and curve. Just because all the NCPD
yeah.
scanners, like
Yeah, when I see something on the map,
do the
yeah.
crimes.
when I'm driving by, I see something on the map, like a crime or something happening. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go fuck these guys up and get some cash. Get some cash for
Right.
it. Get some eddies. Get them eddies.
Yep.
And so I just stop by and do it, and I level up some of my stuff. Perfect. Spec into whatever I'm doing. Carry on.
The reason why I'm at 100 and some hours is fucking photo mode. I can tell you that right now.
There you go. You got photo
my
mode
God.
too.
Oh my God. The
yeah,
fucking
and the photo mode's cool.
There is something for everybody in this game.
Yeah.
I wish there's lights options for photo mode. Though, like in Spider-Man, they have lighting options to put
Yeah,
in front
that
of your face. and
the
stuff.
Spider-Man,
That would've been
the
sweet.
Spider-Man photo mode is unreal. But like this one,
Yeah.
there's way to like kind of manipulate it. So what you can do in the Cyberpunk for console and for PC, but there's other mods for cameras and PC. But for the console mode, photo mode, what you can do for lighting is the certain poses. You can turn your muzzle flash on. Okay, so if you're out doing some street photography and you want to get some shots of people doing whatever the fuck they do on the street, you can do your photo mode and turn on your muzzle flash for your phone or for your gun and kind of angle yourself and turn yourself towards the person, and you get the nice light on their face by the muzzle flash. And if you want to take photos of yourself with some nice lighting, there's multiple different grenades in the game, right? So what you can do is toss the grenade and photo mode right when it explodes, and you get that big light.
Oh,
And then
cool.
you can manipulate your character in a way where
Right.
it uses that grenade light on
And
you.
then as soon as you exit photo
You're
mode, all you
fucked,
hear
yeah.
is people running away and shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And the NCPD come after you.
like the
That is cool.
yeah,
It's a good idea.
it's a good idea. Like, but then again, why didn't they just put a lighting option in the photo mode?
And hey, they might at some point.
Yeah, like there's
a lot of
priorities,
stuff.
right? And there's a lot of things that didn't think of. Like when I'm out shooting a wedding, there's tons of things I don't think of that I'm, in hindsight, I'm like, fuck, I should have done that,
Yeah.
or I should have shot it that way, or whatever, right? Like, there's always something you can add to the game.
Yeah. But like, there's a lot of options too for the quests. There's different choices you make that will affect other things. There's what did we found? There's 10 different endings that we saw.
10 different endings, yeah.
10 different endings
which
to the
is
game.
huge. So that must mean that the more side jobs you do, and depending who you romance, that's what gives you the most options at the end. Right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about romancing. If you want to romance, there's romance options in the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
And let's talk about that for a second. Like, there's tons for both
And
male,
it affects
female,
the story.
and it affects the story. And
Yeah.
I found, like, I did the Judy romance, and
That's what I did as well.
it really got me.
I
It
don't
really
think
got me. Like,
there's not many romance options, is there? There's like 3. 3?
There's Judy, Pan Am, that cop, that detective.
yeah. And then there's Carrie. There's the musician, Carrie. What's his name? Underdong or whatever his name was.
Carrie Uridine.
Yeah, Carrie Urdine.
Oh, okay.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, he turned me down, bastard. Because he's only into guys. He didn't like my female.
really?
Oh,
lead.
okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
So
I
there
didn't
is
know that.
There is Judy
There's a handful.
female only?
Judy's female only. Yeah.
Pan
Okay.
Am is male only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
There's not one that's both? Is Judy not both?
Meredith Stout. Meredith Stout.
Which is the mechanic woman, the big girl. I wanted to romance her, but I
Okay,
don't
Meredith.
think,
yeah, I did. Yeah. That's just a side job. That's not a main
That's a
romance,
side job.
though.
No, it's not a main person though. I think that was it. There aren't that many. There
I think
aren't that
there's
many.
like
There's
I think
some.
there's a handful. There's like a handful.
Okay.
But like the whole Judy storyline was great.
Judy's story.
It was nice. It was cool.
Pan
I
Am
liked
was really
Judy's
good.
one.
Yeah, Pan Am's was good too.
I liked hers. Yeah, hers were so destructive because she's like, out in the desert, nomad, lots of explosions, lots of gunfights. That's what I remember, and it was really cool.
Yes, her quests. I have that written down here for.
Judy's
Like,
Judy's
favorite
was very
quests.
depressing.
Yeah, that's another
Yeah,
thing.
Judy's
That's another
was a bit-
thing about the game. It's not
Yeah.
a happy story.
Yeah.
This is not like like a fairy tale friggin' story game. I mean, it's a gritty,
true. It's a fucking like it's just how it is.
Like if you want a fairy tale story, this maybe isn't it. But I mean, I haven't seen all the endings, so I don't know.
That's true too. It just didn't go the way I expected it would have, or what I would have wanted
mean,
to see happen. But
Regardless of the endings, even the main story,
just the idea of
the
it,
chip,
the concept.
the chip itself is killing you. That's the whole story from the beginning, and you're just trying to find your way around that, and you're interacting with all these people in the game, to try to kind of slow it down, maneuver around it. It's so fucking cool.
And you're just questioning through the gameplay, like, what is going to happen to me? Like, that's the big question of the game. But yeah, fuck, I chose Nomad for this playthrough, and I've been doing female Nomad, and I gave her that kind of like psycho sort of look at first with like, I had like a bruised eye and the rolly kind of ponytails. So and like the bangs are kind of like almost like a Harley Quinn type inspired thing. She had a fucking bruised
Nipples
eye.
or
I gave her some nips.
nipples?
Yeah, I gave her nips. Definitely gave her nips.
big ones, little ones.
okay.
I think they were medium. I don't know.
I don't think you can
So-
give a different size now.
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
Different.
You can.
Yeah.
The size of the nipples?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. On the male, maybe it's not like that. I didn't.
No, I
I don't think I have that
Well,
option.
because you can change the size of the cock, maybe.
Okay.
With my female V, my Nomad, I spec'd into Annihilation and Tech, the two skill trees of Annihilation Tech. And I just recently respec'd because I was like, okay, because I'm at like level 45 and I realized the max level is 50. So I'm not going to be getting that many more perk points because I don't think they continue once you reach 50. You can't level up. So if you can't level up, you're not getting perk points.
Are you sure?
I
How does
don't
that
know.
work?
I'm only like
I
level
think you get.
25.
I think you get perk points, just not level like the main
maybe.
leveled ones.
Oh, like
The main
maybe.
level ones you don't get,
Yeah, okay.
but like the inside where you do.
Oh
the,
no, because that's right. Because okay, so let's clarify this because I'm quite sure I'm wrong. Because Annihilation and whatever the skill trees, those are themselves skills. So they level up. And as they keep leveling up, you get skill continuing past your main level, I think. So I think you should be okay.
To clarify, you have 6 categories, I think. 5 categories for
5, yeah. 'Cause
traits,
the bottom
like
middle one is a logo or something.
Yeah, that's your relic.
Yeah.
So
Right.
5, I think, right? Body,
Tech.
reflexes, tech,
Pretty sure.
cool.
And
Intelligence?
what was the other one? Intelligence.
Okay, so yeah,
And
so each
those
one
all
governs.
have
Each
perk
one has
trees.
2 or
Yeah.
3 perk trees underneath it.
skill trees.
So you have to every time you level
It's
up, you
huge.
get a
Oh,
you get a skill point, which you need to put into one of those categories, and then you get perk points as well. So you get a perk point and a skill point when you level up, right?
Typically, yeah.
But you can get perk points without leveling up from doing other things.
And that's what I mean by using your skills like Annihilation. The more you use shotguns, that perk tree or perk will or
Yeah.
skill will level up, and you get perks,
Right.
kind of like one-off perks that don't come with your
Level.
character stat leveling, right? So it's
Yeah.
just your skills of like Annihilation. The more you use the shit that you want to use, you'll get more perk points that you can put into those skill trees if you want. So,
Right.
but I forgot about that the other night, and I was like, shit. Well, I'm almost level 50. And I was like, I'm not even done my Annihilation or tech skill trees. And I was afraid I was going to run out of, so I respec'd, and I just wanted to make sure I fill up the Annihilation perk tree and the engineering perk tree. I believe it was engineering that I chose under tech.
For-
so that
for, like,
now,
grenades and stuff.
yeah, but also tech weapons, right? So that's why I was using shotguns for Annihilation in 10 with tech weapons, because I have a tech shotgun, which I love, the double barrel one with like the electric nodes on it, and you can charge that up. So I'm getting bonus from using shotgun skills in Annihilation and all those perks that come with that, like extra damage using shotguns and light machine guns in tandem with my tech perks from engineering. So I'm doing just so much damage by running in and using shotguns and light machine guns. But I put a little bit of street brawling because I love the baseball bat thing. I love just jumping in, turning on Berserk, and just like just pounding people, and the thunk it makes. It's very fun.
Oh man.
So that's what I've got set up for my current character, and I'm
Nice.
loving it. But we'll see.
I've been sneaking around, and I'm a sneaker and a quick hacker. So I'm sneaking through. I'll sneak through whole missions. No one will even see me, and everyone is dead. Everyone will die without me alerting a single person. And
Nice.
any bonus options for like being undetected, easy, got it.
Oh, you kind of just started your file though, sort of, right?
I'm 30 hours in.
Did you get the suicide quick hack yet?
Yeah.
Oh, love that.
A lot of the stuff I'm doing for the cyber psychos, you're supposed to do non-lethal. You get, I don't know if there's some, like she wants you to do non-lethal. You don't have to, but I don't know if there's something you get
might
for
get more money, maybe a bit. I don't know.
Okay, maybe. But cyber psycho. What is a cyber psycho? People don't know what cyber psycho is.
There's so much to talk about.
Man. So the anime did a really good job of explaining cyber psychosis. It's like when you start to go crazy because of your implants have a negative effect on your neurologic,
meat.
on your
On your meat.
psyche, on your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you have too much implants or too much chrome, as we
Chrome.
say, you got too much chrome installed, you can go crazy. And in the game, there's a series of side quests where you have to go deal with neutralize these cyber psychos who are going insane on the map.
And each one is different, which is really cool. And they have their own
Yes,
kind
and
of
they have their
like,
own little story.
story,
Yes,
because you read about it in probably
Yeah,
shards
in
or
their
whatever.
shards,
it
yeah.
is,
You
right?
pick up a shard. A shard is like an information chip that you read something
Right.
about. But like every one has a shard where you see what happened to that person, why they went crazy. Now in the game, it alludes to the fact that you can reverse the cyber psychosis by like getting treatment or whatever. In the anime, they didn't really. In the anime, I found they made it like more, like it was more permanent almost.
No.
Well,
They
there
said
were
you could-
warnings in the animes where they're like, you got to back off, man. That
Yeah.
means like you need to maybe uninstall some of it. I
Yeah,
don't really know what
uninstall,
that is.
remove them. Yeah. Oops.
Yeah, I
You can
guess.
remove it. Yeah.
Remove the chrome.
which is interesting
Remove
because in the
chrome.
game, your implants are not removable. You can't get rid of gorilla arms, for instance. You can't take them off once you've put them on. I've tried.
Yeah, you can.
It's not
You
possible.
could
have
put
no
something
arms.
else on though.
Yeah, you'd have to replace them with another piece of chrome.
Right, but you
You
can't
can't
just
take
like,
your gorilla arms off because they chop your real arms off to
Yeah, I
put the
guess
gorilla
so.
arms on.
Yeah, that's true.
that's my point, is that it seems a little inconsistent though between the anime and, because like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, those are our experiences with the game. Man, out of 10, if I'm going to give this game a rating out of 10, let's start there. I've got to give this like 9.2, you know, that kind of shit. The only reason that other 0.8 points is not there is because we're still waiting on, you know, what we might expect to come with DLCs and stuff like that. I want to see some brain dances. I want to see some freaking
we didn't
scummy
even talk about fucking.
brain dances and all that stuff.
dances.
So I want to see that monorail. That'd be so cool to take it through the city, you know, shit like that. So right now, those 0.8 points are going to be missing. But all I know is you've got to play this game if you're listening to this podcast and you're not sure, and you have it on your shelf or you haven't bought it yet. You've got to play it overall on a new console. Play it on a new console or on PC.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. The story's emotional. The story's great. I felt things while playing the game. And it was like watching a movie. So all in all, 9.2 for sure.
Why don't-
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. I would say 9. I would say 9
Yeah.
out of 10. Is there a reason I don't give this a 10 out of 10? Like, what's the reason?
Yeah, really. What is it? I have a few reasons why, and
I
it's
guess,
not.
yeah, that's like not a 10 out of 10. I mean,
It's not a 10 out of 10. No.
like the driving isn't
Yeah.
great.
Oh.
It's not great. It's a bit wiry.
I love it.
I like driving motorcycles more than cars, though. I'll tell you
I
that. The
fucking hate
controls,
driving
yeah, it's
cars.
easier to drive motorcycles. The cars turn too quickly. Like they're too sensitive, and you can't change that. I would say on PC, it's a better experience in terms of control, mouse and keyboard, much easier. The controller sensitivity controls are fucked. Like that's another thing that's super dumb. I had to like Google a way to get it right. If you are playing on controller, hit us up in the DMs and I'll just send you the settings. Like, because I can't explain it, but like I found something that some people found worked, and I kind of tweaked it a bit, and it feels better, much better. But that's another thing. But I wouldn't give it a 10. So 9. I'd say 9. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I'd say 9 as well. The controls for the driving cars is just stupid. I don't know what they were actually thinking about that.
I told you guys, you can't just put pedal to the metal, okay? You
But-
got to ease on that
It's
trigger
not
and
the
with the analog
acceleration,
stick
it's
too.
the turning that I was.
But-
like it turns too
Yeah,
sensitive.
but you still can't just do this. You got to just do this to turn.
Yeah, but
It's perfect.
But there's different cars that handle a lot differently, and I think that's what they were trying to go for. Like if you jump into the Camaro ripoff, right? Like what I have, it's insane. Like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to control that fucking thing going max speed, just like you probably wouldn't be able to in real life. But then you get like this shitty Nomad car that's super slow, and yeah, I can make turns properly with that thing. It's no problem because it's a fucking slow piece of shit. And then there's like a truck that you get from winning the Mechanic Girls quest line, and that thing's like solid, like nice turning. Like that thing's pretty good because it's just
Never
like a
did
big
that.
block of
racing.
metal. Right?
that's another thing. I was like, that's a
Yeah.
racing quest line, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not.
I was
like,
afraid. I've always been afraid.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I was
the
like, well, let me
controls
try
for the
it.
cars are shit. I'm not racing anything, so I didn't do that.
So there's that one. The story in that one's pretty cool.
I was hoping you could maybe romance her, but you can't.
Yeah, I was kind of upset
yeah.
about that too. Yeah. What else didn't I like in Grand Theft Auto? Right, you have those clothing shops, you have the barbers, you have all that kind of stuff, right? And there's not much like that here. Like you go to your Ripper Doc to change your like face, like plastic surgery. I guess they're kind of chalking it
You
up to
can
be.
change your hair. You can change your
Change
face.
that. But
your
like,
appearance.
what about tattoos? I wanted to tat my whole fucking body. There's not much
that's probably
tattoo.
Point of my
Customizable.
point 8.
Yeah.
missing is that they're probably going to put a parlor in with new designs at some point.
Yeah.
You know,
The controls were not great on PlayStation. But what I did like about PlayStation is the haptic feedback is sick. It's very, very cool.
On the triggers, yeah.
Yeah, on the triggers. When I'm driving my Akira motorbike, fucking love that bike. And now you can turn on the neon wheel lights on it. It's so sick.
and
So
now
fucking
with
sick.
1.6, all different bikes have different colors now. I think so. The Yaiba, the one we like, has blue, and I think Jackie's Arch or whatever has red or orange.
Oh, it's so cool. And like when you're driving pedal to the metal and you change gear, you can feel the trigger just twitch and like lift up a
that's
bit.
cool.
And you're like, oh man, it's
I
so
am
cool.
missing out on that big time.
It sucks
It's so
for
cool.
shooting though, because it doesn't suck, but it feels cool, but it doesn't play cool. You know what I mean? I want, like, because I found myself missing shots because it wouldn't fire fast enough because of the haptic trigger.
Yeah.
I want to hit this guy in the head now. Boom, bow. Ah, fuck, I missed because it wasn't
again-
fast enough.
Did you guys know that there
That's my
are
FPS mentality, like
yeah.
competitive FPS. Like when I'm playing Apex, I want it to fire right away.
there are also implants and stuff to control your weapons properly. Like you can get implants that help the stabilization of your weapon, the kickback, all
Well,
that
there's
kind of
perks
shit.
too. There's perks too.
Yeah. So I think that's also what they were going for. So if you're like a marksman, right, you're going to go to that kind of tree line and your controls are going to be that much better. So like I haven't even experienced that yet. I haven't went down that journey. So the controls to me right now with what I've built, it's not great cuz I punch people and I chop people up with my sword.
So when you're shooting,
So
you
I
suck.
rarely shoot people, and when I do, I'm all over the fucking place. I'm like,
Harry, you're alive. And you're a horrible shot.
but like, there's nothing that bad. Like, I can't give it lower than 9 because the experience I've had in this game is just fantastic.
Too
Like,
cool.
the game is just too large to even like cover everything in this
Yeah,
podcast.
true. That's
so.
true. That's true.
Would I have paid full price after playing it this long? Fuck yes, I would have paid it full price. And yes, I, would have played.
I bought it again on PS5 for $60.
Yep.
I'd say in its
I-
current state, it's worth full price for sure.
I would say so for sure. I would. If you can
absolutely.
get the PS4 version used for like $20 and you get the free PS5 upgrade, like that's a no-brainer. No-brainer.
Yeah.
No-brainer.
You are stupid if you don't.
That's how I did it on my PS5. Is right before they dropped the 1.5 patch, I went out to the GameStop bargain bin and there it was PS4 $20. I was like, fuck.
Me too. I
this.
did the same
picked
thing.
it
I
up.
got my Xbox One X version of it for $39.99 brand new, and got the
upgrade.
upgrade. Anyway, we love the Elder Trolls. Love Cyberpunk. So
Now that's 3 of us. That's 3 of us here. Okay, 3.
Hopefully we've described enough about it.
Mhm.
I'm glad we kept the spoilers out. Really, like
Yeah.
I feel.
yeah,
Not to spoil anything, but this is.
if
a
you
good
want to jump
game.
on our level, get those fucking double jump legs
Don't
and
go
get
play
on
some
our level.
Assassin's Creed fucking Ubisoft
Yeah,
game
man.
for 100 hours.
And it's the
Play
same
this.
fucking game the last 3 of their games.
Yeah,
Like,
play
this is a new game. This is what people were asking for. New IPs, new games, new ideas. This is it. And the shitstorm happened and everyone looked over it.
That was good. I think we made a convincing case to people who didn't want to play or were passing it off like, those guys at Friday Night Gamecast. They disrespected some disrespect on Cyberpunk in their last episode.
Unreal.
And, and we just couldn't have that. So we had to make this episode for people who were
On the fence.
on the fence. On the fence. Yeah. And I
Because
think
there's too much of it still. There's
it's
too
just
much
such
of it.
a
Just
good
jump in,
fucking
man.
game. Yeah, do
Dive
it.
in.
Dive
Deep dive.
head first.
Ice dive.
Get it on
bud.
sale. Like, if you want, get it on sale because it's worth $30-$40 even. Like,
Yeah, big time.
It's worth the full price.
like
That's
it's
it.
always on sale on PC. Always like $20 on PC. There's no reason not to get this game. No reason.
And then watch the anime.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Would you say watch the anime first?
I feel like I enjoyed the anime more having played the game first.
But
Yes.
you have
the anime is it's also very true to the game. Like it's really accurate and really like there's sounds from the game. Like, you know, the sound of your
Yes.
phone ringing in the anime is directly from the game. All the interfaces of the breach protocol they even had in there when they're hacking. Like it's
And all the city
The
scenes
Night
are
City,
like
the
familiar
scenes.
locations.
Yeah,
that you're like, oh, I've
exactly.
been there. I've been
Yeah,
there. I killed a guy
exactly.
right there.
exactly. So I don't know. I think you could do either one. I think you could watch
You
it
could.
first. It would probably make you want to play the game.
Yeah, for sure.
But either way, it's phenomenal.
Okay, well, I just want to say my thoughts on the anime quickly is I thought the show was an absolute banger. It took a few eps to get me going, but then it scratched that
Really?
itch.
I
Yeah.
was in on the first
Oh, yeah.
episode.
The
Yeah,
first
fuck
episode,
yeah.
I was a bit. The second episode, I was like, "Fuck yeah!" And then it
Hmm.
hooked me. Like I was mesmerized. And then I had it started on English, and I was like, "Ugh." I was like, "No, fucking thank you." I immediately switched it to the Japanese because the English voice acting wasn't great. But later on in the show, you notice that the subs
The subtitles aren't
weren't
great.
accurate.
Yeah.
They weren't
The
very
Netflix
accurate.
subtitles
So
aren't great.
there was one episode I had to switch back to English just to understand what was going on because I don't know what the fuck they were drinking when they were doing that, but I switched it back anyway. But like, it was so good. The relationships they got going at the beginning between David and what's her face, the
Lucy.
female Lucy.
It was a beautiful show. It was like everything you'd want from an anime.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just-
and it did have that Ghost of the Shell kind of vibe too. Ghost of the
Yes.
Shell.
Yeah.
And they threw that Akira thing in that you love, Jonathan. Did you catch that? There was only one scene in the whole anime
I
where
missed that.
the tail lights dragged the light around the corner. It was only the one time,
I think so. Yeah.
and they were on their bike and they went around the corner, and I was like, and they had the Akira streak, and I was like, fuck yes! I was like, that was a
The Akira
homage to
streak.
that. That was sick.
I found myself getting distracted by the visuals, and I had to
so good.
rewind
Yes,
to
yeah.
read the subtitles again. I'm
I
like,
had to
fuck,
do
what'd
that
they
a few
say?
times.
Oh, I was looking
Yeah.
at this thing.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Excellent
Great.
anime. Definite watch. I'd have to give that one a 10 out of 10 anime for sure. I loved it. I want to go watch it again. I've been itching to watch it again because Alma didn't watch it because I wanted to get it done before the podcast. So I think we're going to go back and watch it again. I've got to watch it again.
Nice. All right. Well, that's it. I mean,
That's it.
we're gonna.
That is Cyberpunk 2077
That's it.
in 2022.
And we're gonna ask the people:
Yeah.
did you play it? Did you play it on launch? How was your reception?
Ugh.
Did the delays ruin the game for you? Did all the shitstorm make you say, I don't want to play that game? Like, what was your experience? And
Cyberpunk.
after hearing this episode, are you going
Yeah.
to play it if you did
Yes.
not? That's what we want to know. Like, I
That's
want to
what we wanna
know
know.
if we have convinced anybody to play this game. That's what I want to hear.
Will? Nick?
Yeah.
I don't think will. He doesn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Oh, man. He should just dump Far Cry 5 and play
Oh,
this. Anyway, that's what we want to know.
Alrighty, that's it for this week's episode. We want to thank everyone for taking the time to listen and or watch. Please be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube. Give us a rating and review on your podcast platform of choice. It helps us get out there to more listeners who may enjoy the show. Remember, you can always leave us a DM on Facebook and Instagram, or tweet us if you want to leave a comment or ask any questions. Thanks again, everyone. We hope you have a wonderful day.
Peace.
Peace out. Chooms.
See ya.